Welcome to this lecture on research methodology. Today we are going to explore one of the most fundamental distinctions in academic research, the difference between research methods and research methodology. For anyone stepping into the world of research, whether in zoology, social sciences, or medicine, mastering this distinction is your very first step toward becoming a credible and brilliant researcher. Let us dive in and build a strong foundation.
To begin, let us imagine you are tasked with building a beautiful, sturdy wooden house from scratch. To build this house, you will need specific tools like hammers, saws, nails, and measuring tapes. In the world of research, these specific tools are your research methods. They are the actual practical instruments you use to get the job done. However, before you even pick up a hammer, you need an architectural blueprint. You need an understanding of why you are using wood instead of brick, and a logical plan for the construction sequence. This overarching strategy is your research methodology. Now that we have an intuitive understanding, let us look at the formal academic definitions, starting with research methods. In academic terms, research methods refer to the specific, practical techniques, procedures, and tools used by a researcher to collect, analyze, and interpret data. These include tangible actions like conducting surveys, running laboratory experiments, or performing statistical calculations. When you list your research methods, you are simply telling your audience exactly what you did to gather your information. They are the physical, day-to-day tasks you perform, much like the carpenter swinging a hammer. Moving beyond the practical tools, we arrive at research methodology. Research methodology is the systematic, theoretical analysis of the methods applied to a field of study. It is the broader framework that dictates your entire research process. More importantly, it provides the philosophical underpinning and the logical justification for why certain methods were chosen over others. Methodology answers the why and how of your research design, ensuring that your chosen methods align perfectly with your research problem. If methods tell people what you did, methodology defends why your approach is scientifically valid and trustworthy. Understanding this distinction is not just academic trivia. It is absolutely critical because it determines the credibility of your entire research project. In the real world, if a scientist claims to have found a cure for a disease, other scientists will not just look at the final data. They will rigorously examine the methodology to see if the approach was logically sound. Without a clear methodology, researchers might randomly pick tools, leading to biased or invalid results. A strong methodology acts as a protective shield against criticism, proving that your findings are the result of a carefully planned, systematic inquiry. To truly understand how these concepts interact, let us represent their relationship using a conceptual mathematical equation. While methodology is theoretical, framing it as an equation helps us visualize its components. The formula is my equals the sum of ms's plus p plus j. Here, my represents the overall research methodology. The term sum of ms's represents all the individual research methods used, like surveys or experiments. P stands for the philosophical framework, such as a qualitative or quantitative approach. Finally, J represents the justification, the logical reasoning explaining why these methods were chosen. If the justification J is missing, the entire methodology becomes weak and invalid. Now that we have our conceptual formula, let us apply it to a real-world example. Suppose you want to find the primary causes of stress among 10,000 first-year university students. First, we identify our goal and realize we need to gather data from a massive population. We select a practical tool that can reach these students efficiently, which gives us our method, the online questionnaire. Next, because we are dealing with measurable, numerical data from a large sample, we choose a quantitative philosophical framework. Finally, we add our justification. An online questionnaire is the only feasible way to reach 10,000 students within our time and budget. Combining these gives us our complete, robust research methodology.
Before we move to another scenario, let us look closer at why that justification step was so vital. The final answer we just arrived shows that the methodology is the quantitative framework justifying the use of a survey. This distinction is crucial for defending your research in front of an academic panel. If someone questions why you did not interview students personally, your methodology provides a solid defense. It proves that personal interviews would be statistically inadequate and practically impossible for a sample size of 10,000. Your methodology ensures that your tools perfectly match the reality of your research problem.
Let us contrast that with a completely different example. Imagine you are an anthropologist tasked with understanding the daily rituals of a small, isolated indigenous tribe of 50 members with no written language. Our strategy here must change entirely. We select practical tools that allow for deep human connection over a long period, giving us our methods, participant observation, and unstructured interviews. We then build our methodology on a qualitative ethnographic philosophy, focusing on understanding behavior from the subject's perspective. Our justification is that complex cultural beliefs cannot be quantified into multiple choice questions. Only through long-term immersion can we uncover authentic truths. This logical defense transforms a simple camping trip into rigorous science.
Reflecting on this second example, we see exactly how methodology dictates your choice of methods. If we had blindly applied a quantitative methodology here, it would have forced us to use a survey. A survey would have been completely useless for a population with an unwritten language and a deeply complex culture. Furthermore, without the qualitative justification we built, the academic community would reject the anthropologist's findings as mere personal anecdotes. Ultimately, the methodology is the bridge that ensures the practical tools you select are perfectly tailored to the unique reality of the subjects you are studying.
Now that we have explored both concepts and applied them to examples, let us look at this visual summary. On the screen, you see a large outer circle representing research methodology. This is your strategy and philosophy. Notice how it completely encompasses the smaller inner circle, which represents research methods or your practical tools. The arrows pointing inward show that the methodology justifies and guides the selection of the methods. Inside the method circle, you can see tangible tools like a survey, an experiment, and an interview. This diagram perfectly captures that methods are just a small, contained part of the much larger methodological framework.
To summarize our lecture, remember that research methods are the specific, practical tools and techniques you use to collect and analyze data, much like the tools in a carpenter's belt. Research methodology, however, is the overarching strategy, philosophy, and logical justification that explains exactly why you chose those specific tools. You can never have a strong research paper by just listing your methods. You must always provide a robust methodology to prove your approach is scientifically sound. By mastering this distinction, you elevate your work from merely collecting data to conducting rigorous, defensible academic research. Thank you for watching.